For the one who's always late. That's what we're talking about today. Hi, this is Frank Buck, and this is the place to be if you want to get organized and make it look easy. You know who I'm talking about. She's never on time. He always needs another 5 minutes. You're picturing that person right now, right? Well, what if she had not just an extra 5 minutes, but an entire extra hour in her day? 3 months ago, we left daylight saving time. That next day was as close as we're ever going to come to having that extra hour. Normally get up at 7? Well, that day it was only 6. Normally get up at 6? Well, that day it was only 5. I got an extra hour. You got an extra hour. We all got an extra hour, including your friend who's always late. Think about the person who normally shows up 5 minutes late for work. With an extra hour, you would think he'd have no trouble being on time the next day, right? Well, nope. 5 minutes late. Again. Think about the coworker or student who can just never seem to get to work or school on time. Will he or she be on time following that time change and the gift of an extra hour in the morning? Don't count on it. The one who rolls in at 8:05 when 8 o'clock is late will most likely roll in at 8:05 that day as well. And should you change late time to 8:05 instead of 8, well then watch Miss Precious roll in at 8:10. You could delay the start of school or the workday until 1 p.m. and watch who comes in the door at 1:05. Each spring, we all spring forward an hour when daylight saving time begins. What happened last spring? Mr. 5 minutes late every day didn't show up an hour and 5 minutes late. No, 5 minutes late. Again, somehow he could adjust his schedule a full hour overnight. You'd think he could take care of that last 5 minutes, but not a chance. And Miss, they grabbed me just as I walked out the door. We'll be late for tomorrow's meeting by the same amount of time as usual. You guessed it. Somebody grabbed her just as she was walking out the door. So how do you fix it? Just ask the person who's rarely, if ever, late. Yes, people ask for a piece of his time just as he's walking out the door. Therefore, he starts walking out the door well ahead of time. Yes, she gets stopped by the train or traffic lights or slow traffic or whatever, so she leaves with enough time to spare to allow for trains, red lights, traffic, and whatever. Instead of assuming all the lights will be green, plan for some delays. In this case, a little pessimism is a good thing. So what do you gain when you're on time? When you arrive early, there are three things just for starters that you gain. First, you get face time with the boss. The first students to arrive get one-on-one conversations with the teacher. The kid who is perpetually tardy never gets that opportunity. The teacher who is early to school gets to chat with the principal while things are quiet. You don't need an appointment to get the time and attention of the one who's in charge. You're there, the boss is there, you're both waiting for everyone else to show up, so you seize the opportunity. Second, you avoid the stress. How many times have you sat nervously at a stoplight and talked to the light as if saying, change, 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 is somehow going to do any good? And how many times have you pressed the elevator button multiple times as if the elevator is going to sense your emergency and give you preferential treatment? Delays will happen, and when you factor in additional time for them, the delay becomes a non-issue. And third, you communicate a message. German poet and philosopher Johann Schiller once said, only those who have the patience to do simple things perfectly ever acquire the skill to do difficult things easily. Showing up on time is one of those simple things. Get that one wrong, and people assume you can't be trusted with much else. So how do you use the extra time? The chronically tardy person often leaves their destination late because they're trying to do one more thing and use every second of their time efficiently. The one who's always early knows a secret. Bring something to do. We all have material we were going to read anyway, the thank you note we were going to write anyway, or the email we were going to write anyway. Get there early. And if you have the time on your hands, you have brought predefined work to fill that time. And you had no trouble finding a parking spot because you were early. You get the seat of your choosing at the meeting because you were early. And you get your pick of the donuts because, you guessed it, you were early. If this video describes someone you know, most definitely share it. Jot down the link to the post and give it to your tardy friend, or print the text of the blog post and leave it on their desk. You've got time. They'll be late anyway. Hey, if you like this video, take a look at these two videos right over here and consider subscribing to the channel. This has been Frank Buck, helping you get organized and make it look easy.